Ah, the old C47. One of my pride and joys. One of my biggest things I did when I first started was I ran goons all the time for missions. All the time. All the time. Now, a lot of young kids, a lot of young guys get started in the game. They want to be the C47 pilot. But in actuality, you need to probably have one of your more advanced pilots be the goon driver. It's a really big, important job. You know, especially one of the first things you want to do is make sure you're taking the right stuff. I've seen it at least 20 times. We need one troop, one guy. And all of a sudden you get there and the guy's got airfield cargo on board. So, you know, one of the first things you do, 10 troops. Need 10 troops. Unless the mission is over 4 grids away, 50% gas. Never needed more than high tech and his infinite wisdom. We pay them good money and they produce us dancing troops. Lord have mercy. But anyway, at least they can run now instead of just like little fucking pilots running across the crowd. Anyway, 50% gas. So, but before we get too terribly far, there are some things that you should see in here. If you haven't seen them before, you got to take a minute and check these guys. Let's see. Okay. Now that's a normal indication. Let's see. What's well, so now we have flying cars. I think it's down here. Aha. While you're looking down here, someone has got on your 6. Let's see. And then the one I really like is this one over here in the corner. Let's go F8. Let's turn that off right quick and do a little zoomage and some more zoomage. So up here near our cockpit, inverter, and carburetor de-icer, the streets are quiet tonight, but it's alright. But it's not alright because they're planning something. Don't you know things have settled down? But silence is a dangerous sound. We must keep our eyes open. Darkest of night with the moon shining bright. Here's a set going strong. A lot of things going on. The man of the hour has an air of great power. The dudes have envied him for so long. Oh, Superfly. It's the history eraser button. You won't touch it, will you? You have to watch these folks there at the old high-tech creations. Let's look around here a little bit more. I bet you that a bunch of text that I don't know what it says, but I'll pretend it says something profound like I think, therefore I am. That sucked, but I can't think of anything right now. I like beer. Parachute packs salvo. Okay. Used to, I think the old Corsair, the old F4U4, had a bottle of like Jim Beam or something in it. The rest of it appears to be fairly standard text. You gotta keep your eyes peeled. These cats, they're sneaky. They don't have anything to do all day, but allow Scuzzy his old band hammer down on some folks. I'm just messing with Scuzzy. And dink around with stuff inside of here. So the time when you're thinking you're doing something really serious, just take a look up there in the corner and know that everything's not alright. You're probably going to go down. Now, that was pretty funny. But in all seriousness, when you're running a goon, it's probably the most important job if you're going to run missions. I haven't run missions in a long, long time, and I don't even drive C47s hardly anymore. But it's one of the funner jobs to me is to drive a C47, unarmed, not very fast, and, you know, just to try to dodge things. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you kind of how I would approach. Let's say A100 is an enemy field. I'm at A1. Now, my guys are over here, and they're running back and forth. and they call for a mission. So the mission takes off out of here. It's NOE and it's heading to 100. Now, a lot of times they keep the goon right with the mission, or maybe he's slightly behind, or this or that, or blah 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 blah. Now, you know, A4's enemy field will say. Now, a lot of times when you do these NOE missions are over water, because you lose a lot of guys to trees. The trees, they jump up there, they've got rakes and stuff, and you have to watch out for them, and they'll attack and things when you're driving by them. Not that people can't drive, it's just that, you know, those damn rakes and those trees and the squirrels with cameras, they're all very real hazards that you have to watch out for when you're driving at low level across here. So one of the first things you want to do is don't get a skin that's like, actually I think there's a solid silver one now. There's a good green one with stripes on it. I like the desert camouflage myself, but there's a good Royal Australian Air Force. There's a Jap one. I'm kind of rusky purple and green. There's a good solid green one. A blue one. And the old dirty winter one. I like that one. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna fly that one. And of course, props to freaking Grebo here. This cat. I don't know if they pay this guy or not, but Grebo, if you're out there, I'm bowing at my screen right now for your skins. I fly them all the time. So let's take off. So now we've cranked up our mighty engines. Let's go ahead and take off. With an advance of the throttle, we are to depart. But, so, when you're starting to run your mission, obviously, I don't run with the mission. I'll run with them to a certain extent, and then I'll break off. Now, typically, you're going to run 2 or 3 grids with an NOE mission. You know, 75 miles or so. Maybe 50. As short as 25. But usually, it's, if you're 25 miles and there are already people attacking it, you're not really doing anything. You're just going straight in, busting it with a large group of cohesive people, and moving on. So, mission takes off, guy launches us out this direction. So we're going to make a turn and probably go nose on to, the first thing I do is I go to F3, because you don't need to see what's going on inside. Get to nose down, get you a little speed. You do have web as well. Check this rascal out. I think looks good. So the first thing you want to do is obviously don't fly a solid white skin if it's on a non-snow map. You know, you want to fly green with something that'll blend in a little bit. You want to stay as low as you can. The closer to ground clutter you can get, the easier it is for you to avoid bad guys. Then you want to use the darn terrain. So then we're going to get down in here. And I know the general direction, somewhere off my 11 o'clock or so, is this field. So we're buzzing here along the trees. Now, you could drop in here along the dill, but you're giving up a lot of altitude that you could use for speed. So I'm going to run along the edge of this hill. And I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I'm looking around. Make sure no nasty old Germans, Einschwankers, get up behind me and bust me with a cannon or something, you know. And so I check my dill, and I'm running here along the lake. Now the mission's departing this way, and everyone's kind of running across the lake there out on my left-hand side or something like that. Regardless, I'm going to kind of stick to the terrain, and I'm going to kind of stay away from all the other aircraft, because if someone spots the mission, the first thing they're going to do is look for goons. They're like, where's the goons at? Because they're easy meat. So I'm in my area, I'm in my radar circle, it's safe, there's no bad guys here. I'm going to tool on across this lake at fairly high altitude, and then I'm going to hit this ground over here and I'm going to run NOE, which is nape of the earth. You're right along the ground. Now, there's 2 important things to know. There's dar bar and then there's dot dar. Dar bar is anything above, for fighters I want to say 100 feet, and bombers I want to say 150 feet. It may be 150 for everything, but I want to say that it's actually different for fighters or bombers. But it's been a long time, so I mess with it. If somebody knows it, correct me. Staying below 100 feet is a good call. It may be 200 feet, maybe 150 for fighters and 200 for bombers. Again, I can't recall. Below 100 feet, you're more than safe, but you got to watch for those trees, the squirrels, the wrecks, all that business. So we're going to tool along here. Now, obviously, at this altitude, I would be casting dar bar, the large bars at the top of the upper left-hand corners of this sector. I'm casting. I can't see my own dar bar, but other people can see me. So now, if there's people going back and forth, you're kind of masked as far as how many people are really going. So I'm not too concerned with that. If it was NOE, I'd be right along the water and cruising this way. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is drop the nose down and continue to proceed this way. Now what I'm shooting for is I'm actually going to move up and along this sector line north of the field and put myself in a position, probably wait out here in the 9-11-1 area until I'm called for. Yeah, you got a little bit of a flight, you can't be right there, but a lot of times the very first goon in there gets killed. Now, a lot of times the second gooning gets killed. So if both your guys are right there on top of it, unless they just schwack the whole place and nothing is able to up, there's a good chance that a fighter could come from A4 or anything like that and get you. We'll go ahead and get on down here a little bit. We're going to go ahead and kick on the WEP because we're wanting to get there a little bit quicker. With your WEP, you're still not even going to be as fast as the bombers that are heading out with you. But you really want to be out kind of on your own. Not close enough that you can be within range unless they're on a certain channel, but not so close that they'll spot you with the main group. So you proceed along here, and you make sure that you're paying attention for hills and hollers and stuff is going to be coming up. Because this thing, it can climb, but not great. And there's been a few times where I've got gear down, all the flaps out, and just drive across a mountain with the tail still up, and made it across a mountain because I wasn't prepared for what I was doing. And sometimes you may have to stair step it where you'll take off and you fly up in one direction, get an altitude, and then turn around and go the other direction, just climbing and climbing and climbing, not really leaving the area, just still moving along here. So we're currently pretty low. Go ahead and in F1 you tend to get a lot closer to these trees, and it feels like you're too close a lot of times. So I usually sit in F3. It gives you a little bit better perspective of where you're sitting in relation to the ground and stuff, because it is a hazard. I mean, flying along these trees, and you want to do a little zoom and see what's in front of you, and make sure you don't clip your wingtips and stuff. And it'll take practice to do it properly. And from time to time you monitor your progress. Like I'm getting a little bit too far out this way, so we're going to make a little cut back here and head out right along this sector line. And what I'll do is I'll show you my lineup once I'm north of the field itself. Okay, so we're here. But too long, we're kind of in a safe area here. Well, I say safe, but essentially what's going on here is we're in an area that's not being patrolled by enemies, and we're in an area that someone would have to cover a lot of terrain just to find one airplane that may or may not even be out here. So this is why you're making this pass. Now we're sitting out here and we've hung out in this area, the 811-3, 911-1 area for a while, and they say, okay, hey, it's clear, come on in. So what we're going to do is we're going to maintain our low altitude. We're not going to change our altitude at all. We're going to make our turn. We're going to come straight into the town. We're going to get there as quick as we can. So we're going to kick in the old WEP, and we're going to hang out here. Now normally I ran a backup goon, like there would be a goon with the mission. Sometimes that guy would make it. A lot of times though, the guy got shot down for a mission because everyone's going to go after the goon. That's what captures it. So they knock down the goon. They go, okay, well it's going to take them how long to get from here to there? So they're not going to come, you know, right at you again. So you come on in here, and you're just keeping your nose down, and you're keeping your eyes peeled, obviously, for bad guys, and heading straight for the town. And really, you're flying along, and you're just staring at the clipboard a lot of the times. I mean, you come out and look around outside, and then you're looking at the clipboard, just kind of see what's going on. You're watching your text buffer to see updates about the fight, see if there's any changes and stuff. So now I'm going to continue to simulate that, hey, I'm moving along the ground at NOE altitude, and I'm going to change some graphic details here because I was playing with it a second ago. And when you play with it, it gets upset sometimes. We're going to turn that off. We're going to turn that off. We should get our boost back. Because you lose a few frames when you turn the fraps on, so I'm trying to see what I'm losing when I turn the fraps on. Because 53, 50, I'm sitting at like 57, 56 right now. I like to maintain 60, but you know, 55 to 60, I can live with that with fraps on. Obviously, it's gonna be higher. It's gonna be 60 with my fraps. It stops at 60. It doesn't go any further. It doesn't read any higher than 60 for this game. So So we're going to continue our NOE approach. We're going to keep our eyes peeled for bad guys approaching us from the 6 o'clock. And we're going to continue to move towards Dill. Now, you have two options for when you come in. You want to be above 800 feet, so you can do what's they do the curly Q, or it's essentially just come over and you pull up, and I'll show it to you. I'll simulate it to you, and I'll show you how to do it. And then you have another approach, which is landing. Landing gets your troops a lot closer than drifting through the air, and it makes them a lot less exposed to fire. Now, if there's ground vehicles that are moving out there and things like that, or there's hostile aircraft, then doing a ground landing, it's gonna be, you know, time specific. Can you get it on the ground? I've had people try to bust me as I was landing on the ground and pull them off, and I've been shot also on the ground and not pulled off a capture. So as you approach the town, you want to start zooming in and taking a look and seeing how you want to approach it, and getting a rough idea of where the flag is at and such. So that is not actually a Dill there. It's off to my left there. Okay. Throwing a little rudder here and angle in that way. And I can see the flag there. And of course, I'm looking at a full screen. You may be watching it halfway, but I can see the flag. It's just off my 12 o'clock, just to the left of my rudder here. And I'm going to keep heading this way here. Obviously keeping an eye out for trees and bad guys and everything else. And what I'm going to try and do is, you're going to fly over, and you're going to want to pull up right over the flag, and you're going to want to drop your troops out. And as I can see the flag there to my left, so I'm gonna go ahead and point my nose right at it. I'm coming in at my low altitude. I'm going as fast as I can. And what you're going to want to be doing is starting to look for your F1 button, because you're going to need that. So I like to hover over my F1 button as I'm watching it, and I get my zoom going. Now, obviously, you'll have opened your doors. I'm not going to drop troops. I'm just going to simulate it. And so I know that there's the flag. And I'm going to wait until I'm just almost over it. And then I'm going to pull, and I'm going to go to F1. And that was the number 1. And here's F1, and I'm looking for 800 feet. I'm at 1,000. And what you're going to want to do is be pickling them off through 1,000 feet. And as soon as you start your pull and you're inside and you see that you've passed 800 feet, you're going to want to start pickling those guys out. Now, the other way you can do it is you can find a spot in town and land. Like, you can see that there's a pretty good spot that's actually between some hedges there. So I'm going to go ahead and pitch around here. Now, the Goon handles well at low speeds. It's a nice airplane to fly. Now, there at my 1 o'clock, there's an opening in the hedge. There's a gun position there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drift in here, slowly letting my rudder out. And I'm going to drift right in here. Now, you want to make sure that if you're doing this, that you come in here super sneaky, because a lot of people don't land Goons anymore, so you don't see it as much. And so I'm going to bring it in here just nice and easy. And I'm going to go to F1 so I can see the terrain in front of me. Make sure I don't clip any darn trees and stuff. And then I want to try and get in as close as I can to the actual town here before I decide to let my troops go. Because it's important that you get them up in here where they can actually do stuff. Now, if you crash the Goon, the wings come off, the tail comes off, and you're just all kinds of messed up. Now, I've knocked the wings off outside the motors with the old town setup, and actually drove into the deal. But as you can see, I'm not that terribly far from the town. Now, you don't want to do this before the town is down. A lot of people will come in there, oh yeah, just land, we'll get to town. No, don't believe them. Don't trust them. Because if they all die, then you're just parked on the ground, just waiting to be ate alive by anything that's got a gun on it, bigger than a 45. And so now that you're here, town's down, it's ready to go.
Geronimo! 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 Geronimo!
you turn them loose, and they have a straight path right to the flag, and it's real short. And then, if you're feeling real cocky and say someone's tried to shoot you down and stuff, well, then you just go ahead and crank up. Full left rudder and some heavy left brake. And try and get it up on this concrete here. I'm gonna bump that side over there. Whoa! Stop, you bastard. Look at that thing. What did I do? Oh my gosh, it's... Look at it, look at it. I'm sorry, C47, it's my bad. I bet you I get a successful landing though. Oh, you bastard. I guess it's a ditch. Yeah, no, if you can get both landing gear up on the concrete there, it's a successful landing. I've done it a number of times. I've crashed some goofy stuff and got it up on the concrete and landed successfully. You can land an airplane successfully out of town or a V-base or anywhere else and just be on a runway, but I think you need both main landing gear tires on it. So that's a bit of a walkthrough if you're running a C47 and you're running for a mission. Don't believe them just because they're like, oh yeah, it's safe, go out there, we got your guy. No. Take care of yourself. And check that cat out. You see that? Mr. Gabby thinks he's real good. Oh, P-51 out there. Oh, yeah. I can't stand the P-51 as a fighter. I mean, I like flying it, but as far as trying to shoot things with it, no sir. Anyway, guys, I hope that's just helped you out a little bit if you're running a C-47 for a mission. And if not, well, you know, shame on you, you know. I'll catch you guys the next time.